Hey everybody, this is Phil Bell here at All Things Trains, and you know I love the Erie Lackawanna Railroad. So I came to Roanoke in part to see the locomotive behind me, which is former Conrail SD45M number 6670, which was originally Erie Lackawanna number 3639. Now, you're probably wondering, that term SD45M, I've never heard of it. You see, the Electromotive division of General Motors, which produced some of the best diesel locomotives, and of course some of my favorites, produced the EMD SD45, which was a 20-cylinder, 3,600 horsepower, 6-axle, and 6-traction motor diesel electric locomotive. Now, for some railroads that were still operating passenger services and wanted to upgrade their fleets at the time, they offered what's called the SD-P45, and that P stands for passenger. That meant these locomotives had a frame that was 4 feet longer, which accommodated additional water capacity to support a steam generator that was mounted at the end of the locomotive. And if you look at the 6670 behind me, you'll see there's a little area right behind the radiator that you see a little bit of an extension, and that is where the steam generator would be kept. Now, the Erie Lackawanna, however, by the time these locomotives came on the market, was not looking to upgrade its passenger fleet. In fact, they were trying to get out of passenger service as quickly as they possibly could. However, they had a great deal where they could buy diesel fuel more cheaply in New Jersey than they could in Chicago, because Cook County, then as now, imposes heavy fuel taxes on diesel, obviously because there's so many railroads, and we know they all want to get as much money, they being Cook County, as possible. So the Erie Lackawanna purchased the SDP-45, but in a freight configuration. So that meant you had the larger fuel tanks, which on this locomotive only carried fuel and did not have a provision for water. And these were able to more or less get the locomotive between the New York City area, Secaucus, Croxton Yard in New Jersey, to Chicago and back. Now, we know in practice this didn't happen all the time, but that helped them save on fuel costs by limiting refueling that took place in Chicago. Plus, 3,600 horsepower, over 6 motors is nothing to sneeze at, especially in those days, and these are terrific engines. Now, the reason this is here at the Virginia Museum of Transportation in Roanoke is because it was donated by the Norfolk and Western. The N&W at the time controlled the Erie Lackawanna, and they financed the purchase of the first order of these SD45Ms. They're also originally set up with dual control stands, the way that the N&W had its own power setup, so they were very unique on the EL roster. After EL became part of Conrail, these ended up going back to the N&W briefly. The majority were cut up in Roanoke at Cycle Systems, but this one was saved and is here at the Virginia Museum of Transportation, which you should definitely come on and check out. So, we'll see you down the line, and thanks for choosing All Things Trains.